Assalamu alaikum. Last time we started discussing a basic form of the verbs. Today we continue. Here I have a drawing of the words that take this movement, the U. We read it in the text. So this is basically showing the same information in the text in another form. So here is the marks for the state of rafa', for something to be raised, a word. Here is the name ad-damma. Notice these diacritics there. So this here symbolizes any letter. If any letter, you can put any letter here. The damma is on top. They're always on top here. So this is what we study here, the U, the damma. That's the name of it. So we covered the singular noun. You can read the definition of these letters here and here. I put them there. So the singular noun, which is al-ism al-mufrad. Now notice I put the red diacritics here. These are at the ends of these nouns and this verb. And that's what the Arabic grammar is about, the changing of these movements. And the reason I put this here, in the text we're reading, we use the word fi, which is one of those letters that cause a noun to be lowered if it comes after it. And it means in. So, in the house, fil bayt. If you continue, you pronounce, if you stop, you don't have to pronounce these end movements. But if you continue, you're not finished with the word, you pronounce it. So, fil bayti rajulun. There is a man in the house, you say fil bayti. That E there is caused by the fi, that letter fi. So in our text, it says the damma is a sign for the state of rafa', in, fi, and that's why I put this here, E. The first word is influenced by that fi, the E here. The second, there are different reasons here, whether it's an adjective or an idafa. We will study these later. I think we covered some of those different states. When you say something is of something, that's called idafa, and it takes this movement too. So, but these nouns here, I will talk about them in a second when I read the text. That's why I chose to put these. These could change. You could have an U there, or an A, like here. Now the ones in the black, these here, diacritics, these are fixed movements. So they're always with the name. Of course, we talked about the definite article, this al here. If it's not there, you will not see it there. So this is just a quick discussion of this presentation here. So you can look at it. Each one of these boxes contain what we covered so far, what takes this movement. Also on video number 9 in this playlist, I covered resources. There is a resource there where it shows a drawing like this, but for the whole book. It helps you to review what you know. Just by a quick look, you recognize what type of words will take this U or damma. So we covered the singular noun here. This here, jam'a taksir, the broken plural. This here is jam'a al-mu'annath al-salim, jam'a al-mu'annath al-salim, feminine sound plural. And this here is the present tense verb. So here I use the word bab, al-babu. Here I use the plural for men. Rajul is the singular. Al here is the definite article. Al-rijalu. The reason I use the definite article here with these nouns is because this U here, it will only be with the definite article. Had this been without it, you will see another shape for the U, this un here. You add that in sound to it. But that's not our subject. It's also called rafa', but that's for indefinite nouns. For now, just understand why I wrote these this way, so I can get this U without this un here. We'll cover that later. So here, الرجال, broken plural, the men. الطالبات, This here, the sound feminine plural, meaning the female students. طالب is a student. طالبة, you add that ta. If you do not connect it to something else, it's you say طالبة. That is an extra added to the word طالب. So the sound, the original, the bare minimum of that word is طالب with no movements. When you start adding stuff, if you remove that, whatever you added, that's that is not considered changing the basic form. So that's why it's called salim. It's sound. You did not change the original. You just took out that الطالبة, and you added this ati, at. So الطالبات. So we covered this before. Here is the word naktub, we write. I talked about the present tense letter. This n here for the first person plural, feminine or masculine n. With the 3-letter root, it's opened, the present tense letter a. Here it's na or a or ta or ya. You see the short vowel a. Na. Naktubu. We covered the first form of the verb, which the present tense, the first letter of the present tense, the past tense is silence, nak, no movements. Then the second letter of the basic form takes the u. We will look at that again in a second. So naktubu, you see that u there. This is the present tense verb. It does not have anything attached to its end, and it doesn't have a vowel. There is no u, e, or a at the end of it. Because of that, you get this dhamma, this u on it. So this is just basic, so there is more to say, but this gives you an idea of what we covered so far. If we read the text here, باب معرفة علامات الإعراب. للرفع 4 علامات. Notice I talked here about this an, un, and in. This here is in because it's doubled, but I don't pronounce it when I stop at it. So للرفع 4 علامات. Had I continued, I would say للرفع 4 علامات الضم. You see, it helps me continue. But here للرفع 4 علامات الضمة والواو والألف والنون. We're talking about this first mark for the state of رفع, which is ضمة. We still have to cover these 3. So فأما الضمة فتكون علامة للرفع في 4 مواضع. في الاسم. Notice I said في, how it took this movement there, e, because of this في, n. في, n. It's a mark for the state of رفع in الاسم, the noun, the singular noun. The adjective comes after it. الاسم المفردي. So في الاسم المفردي, that's why it took that movement. Now notice the rest here. What caused them to take that movement? It's this wa here, and. So if you continue, instead of saying في الاسم المفرد وفي جمع التكسير وفي المؤنث, you say wa, and that movement there indicates you're following with this fi here. So this fi is influencing this word, and this word. الفعلي, جمعي, الاسمي. What caused that to happen is this and here. That and told me what movement the end of this first word here took. The second word took that movement for different reason, whether it's an adjective or إضافة. We will not talk about that for now. But just so you understand what the grammar is about, changing these movements. So في الاسم المفرد we covered that. جمع التكسير we covered that. جمع المؤنث السالم we covered that. Now we're talking about the present tense verb, الفعل المضارع. الذي لم يتصل بآخره شيء. This is a very important point. Nothing is attached to its end. I would also add it's not a vowel. It's not an e, an u, or an a. That's when you will see an u dhamma on the end of a present tense verb. So last time, let me write this present tense letters here. This a, this na, this ya, and this ta. I wrote them in this shape because that's how you will see them. A, na, ya, ta. They attach to the front of the verb, the past tense verb. We talked about these. They all have the same movements in the past. They're 3-letter roots. The ones remaining, this fourth one here, notice the second letter is broken or lowered. So fari, fariha. The way it changes in the present tense, you add the present tense letter. Here they chose this one, the ya, for the third person. With no other clues, it indicates the singular masculine. So yafra. Notice how this e changed to an a there. So a good number of verbs in the Arabic language, the 3-letter root, that's how they change when they become present. And that's what gave them this different class here. They're the number 4 here. The fifth one is karuma. Notice the O at the second letter. So now all these 6 here, 3-letter root. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. In the past. In the past tense, they're 3-letter root. No extra added to them. So karuma. Karuma. Notice how it changes in the present tense. Yak. Notice how the first letter lost its vowel. Yak rumu. Yak rumu. It keeps the same movement. So this one here, it's simple. You just add the present tense and do not move or use a short vowel on the first letter here. Karuma yakrumu. Hasiba yahsibu. They are few in number, and most 15 of them start with the vowel wa. Waritha, yarithu. So they're the last here because they're the fewer in number. Now the 7th one here is a 4-letter root. As I said, this is just an introduction. We will cover more about these verbs, but this is a general introduction to the verb forms. So here, tam'ana, notice 4-letter roots. Notice how it's the vowel movements on it. In Arabic, most of the time you will never see 4 movements. One of them has to be silent. So if you see a word that has 5 letters, the short vowels, they will not all be movements. One has to be at least silent, or 4 letters movements. So in here, notice you see the second one is silent. In here, 3-letter root, they're all moving in the past. The letters have different movements. These 3 have the same movement in the past. These are different, lowered here, raised on U with the dhamma here, or lowered here, the second letter. This one here is the 4-letter root. So notice how it changes. Now, with this one, notice the U and the present tense letter. That's the difference between the 4-letter root and the 3-letter root. When it goes in the present, its present tense letter takes the U instead of the A. So that's when you analyze text and you recognize something is a present tense, you know the word is a verb, you see the U, that's good indication it's a 4-letter root. There are different types of verbs that take that U, but now we're talking about the basic form of the verbs. This is a 4-letter root. When it goes into present, its present tense letter will take same present tense letters, but a different short vowel. This U here. So I can say utam'inu. I comfort or assure someone of something. I. This A for the person, masculine or feminine. The na, it's na here, but nu here. Nutam'inu. I can say nutam'inu. We comfort or we assure someone. Present tense. Ya, you. Yutam'inu. Notice that short. That's the difference between a 4-letter root and a 3-letter root when it changes into a present tense. Using the same present tense but different movements. Different movement or short vowel at the present tense letter. The ta is tu. Tutam'inu. You comfort or you assure someone. Or she is tutam'inu. Also for the third person, singular or feminine. So tu. Tutam'inu. She comfort. So you can say she is comforting someone. Tutam'inu. Same thing for the second person, plural or singular. You say tu. So this tu works for the third person, singular, feminine, and the second person. As I said, when you have different additions there, indicate different type of subjects, doers of the verb. But that for indicate it's a second person. And third person, singular, feminine. So she is comforting, tutam'inu. You are comforting or assuring someone, tutam'inu. This ta, tu, for a 4-letter root. We will continue next time, inshallah, with more about the verbs. See you then. Assalamu alaikum.